Thank you everyone for being here today. My name's Ruth Oviedo Hollins, and I welcome you to this press conference with Care About Climate. The escalating climate crisis demands urgent and inclusive action from all parties present and not present at COP29. As we approach critical environmental tipping points, it is imperative that nationally determined contributions fully reflect the voices, ideas, and aspirations of young people. Youth inclusion in climate policy is not merely a moral obligation, it is a strategic opportunity to drive innovative and long-term solutions that are equitable and sustainable for generations to come. Governments have a pivotal role to play in fostering intergenerational equity by embracing youth participation in the development and implementation of climate commitments worldwide. By acting decisively and inclusively, states can build trust, harness fresh perspectives, and demonstrate leadership that transcends generational divides. This is a moment of unprecedented opportunity to unite across age groups, ensuring that today's actions secure a resilient and just future for all. After years of work on advocating for youth-inclusive NDCs through Care About Climate's NDC Equity Tracker, we are proud to announce the launch of a global initiative calling on nations to commit to more inclusivity for youth and children. This is the Universal NDC Youth Clause. We at Care About Climate, with partnership from We Are Family Foundation and Groundswell, have developed this campaign to address a gap that doesn't seem to get smaller. Youth voices being too often overlooked in the development and climate policies and action plans. The Universal NDC Youth Clause urges countries to endorse a pledge that institutionalizes youth participation in shaping their climate commitments. Through this pledge, countries commit to 3 core principles: appreciate that children and young people are important drivers of climate action; 2, collaborate with youth stakeholders on the implementation of national climate plans to integrate their perspectives and communities; and 3, educate children and young people on the climate change impacts and solutions to empower the next generation of climate champions. This initiative comes at a pivotal time as nations prepare to update their NDCs in alignment with the Paris Agreement. This clause emphasizes that by including youth perspectives, countries can enrich their climate strategies with innovation, creativity, and long-term vision, ensuring more effective and equitable outcomes for all. This campaign represents a call to action for governments to recognize and formalize the role of youth as equal partners in the fight against climate change. Endorsing this pledge is not just a moral imperative, but a strategic investment in sustainable development. We call on governments, international organizations, civil society, and stakeholders to join us in championing this effort. Together, we can ensure that the voices of younger generations are not only heard, but are instrumental in shaping our present and our future. I would like to share this platform with my fellow activists here at COP29. After days of negotiations, attending actions and meetings, participating in a multitude of side events, and more, we have some important messages to share with all of our communities. We will be addressing the youth role at COP so far, what finance negotiations have taught us, and our expectations for the conclusion of this COP. So I would like to now pass it along to Paula from Spain.
Thank you so much, Ruth. My name is Paula Rincon Muñiz, and I'm a climate advocate from Spain. Making progress in climate finance is crucial for the survival of our planet and our people. The success of this COP hinges on securing not just pledges, but also mechanisms for accountability and accessibility of funds to ensure equitable climate action in the Global South. As young people, we sit in negotiation rooms for hours, and all that we get is silence and lack of ambition. We are almost at the end of the conference, and Global North countries continue refusing to negotiate on the quantum and contributor base, consuming the times and the hopes we have left to keep the 1.5-degree goal alive. The fact that young people have to constantly fight to be barely acknowledged and heard in these texts only shows the lack of willingness of parties to secure a livable and just future for us. On another note, we want to remind everyone that this is also the Gender COP. We have observed in the gender negotiations how parties continue to talk about removing human rights and other essential language from the text. In the latest version that we got this morning for the review of the Enhanced Lima Work Program on Gender, we have seen how all diversity language has been removed, and the text is essentially a repetition of what was already agreed at COP25. This is unacceptable, and we will keep holding the line until we achieve gender justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Hi, everyone, and my name is Zaina Zubair, and I am a climate advocate from Sri Lanka and the UK. At COP29, youth have played a pivotal role as advocates, researchers, and change makers. They have amplified the urgency of climate action, equity in climate finance, and an equal, just transition that leaves nobody behind, pushing negotiators to address the gaps highlighted in the global stocktake. Youth delegates have been instrumental in driving conversations around intergenerational equity, ensuring that climate policies reflect the long-term needs of future generations and the significance of adapting these policies to country-specific requirements. Youth continue to champion solutions from nature-based strategies to renewable energy innovations, to amplifying stories from regions who cannot access spaces such as COP29. These movements have demanded greater representation in decision-making processes. By organizing impactful events, leading protests, and collaborating with negotiators, youth have ensured their voices are not only heard but acted upon, making them a cornerstone of progress at COP29. The UK's endorsement of the Universal NDC Youth Clause marks a significant and supportive step forward, particularly under the leadership of its newly established government. This endorsement not only signals a commitment to amplifying youth representation in climate decision-making, but also sets a powerful example for other world leaders to follow. We hope this milestone inspires broader adoption of the clause globally, showcasing how integrating youth perspectives can drive more equitable and inclusive policies. As the UK begins implementing this clause, starting with the educational sector, it sets a strong precedent for embedding intergenerational equity in climate governance. Conclusively, this level of support from the UK will set a strong precedent for intergenerational equity into climate governance, but also to champion this effort, we hope the UK reaffirms the critical role of young people in shaping global solutions to the climate crisis, and hoping that it demonstrates empowering youth is not just a gesture of inclusion, but a cornerstone for impactful climate action. Together, we hope this will provide a hopeful pathway for global leaders to follow, ensuring a just and sustainable future for all generations.
Thank you, Zaina. My name is Basmala Walsh, and I'm from Egypt. As we approach the final hours and days of COP29, what I wish to see in the negotiation rooms is unfortunately quite different from what I expect. What I wish to see is, firstly, transformative commitments on climate finance. I want to see real progress on the NCQG negotiations, with developed countries stepping up and committing to a quantum that actually addresses global needs. The 300 billion range being discussed feels truly like a joke. It's not even close to filling what we need from the adaptation gap, let alone address the broader needs of mitigation or loss and damage. These developing countries, small island developing states, cannot continue to be left behind while everyone fights to maximize their piece of the cake. Secondly, reinvigorating fossil fuel phase-out efforts. After the landmark deal in Dubai to transition away from fossil fuels, I have hoped that this COP would focus on solidifying and advancing that progress. Instead, what I've seen is countries being more interested in watering down mitigation efforts to protect their own political interests. I wish for stronger, actionable language that prioritizes people and the planet over short-term profits. And finally, ambitious NDCs updates ahead of the 2025 deadlines. With the February 2025 deadline to update the NDCs coming fast, I want to see countries align their commitments with the outcomes of the global stocktake from COP28. We need bold national commitments that reflect the decision to transition away from fossil fuels and accelerate decarbonization efforts. Despite my frustrations, and I'm sure the frustrations of all youth sitting in this room, I hope negotiators will take a step back and see the bigger picture, recognizing the historic responsibility of developed nations and the urgent need to support the most vulnerable. Incremental action is no longer an option. What we need now is bold, decisive action to create a livable and sustainable future for everyone, with youth leading it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I would now like to open the floor for questions for any of our fellow activists or any of the work that we mentioned today.
Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your insights and statements. I would like to ask, what are the efforts that you have been doing in empowering young people across the globe, and how does NDCs empower them to be able to be their best selves at places like COP?
Thank you very much for your question. I can go ahead and get started on that one. So Care About Climate really does a great job in focusing on the youth implementation of nationally determined contributions. Through one of our programs with the Equity Tracker, we essentially analyze youth NDCs with the help of youth ambassadors from their countries to let us know exactly what are recommendations that they would give to policymakers in their countries to adapt more youth-inclusive climate action. And so at this COP, being that we essentially have less than 4 months away from when NDC 3.0 are due, we are advocating that there is plenty of time to build policies that are inclusive of young people in every single sector that is included in an NDC. And so we've gotten a lot of comments about how, well, some countries have already updated their NDC, or the text is pretty much done and it's up to the way the negotiations go this week. But the reality of it is that there is plenty of time. We really think that it's not about setting excuses, but just being proactive and empowering young people in every country to have a voice, have agency, and have the opportunity to voice their needs for a sustainable future. And we hope that the work that we're doing here at COP influences and establishes that need that is still a very huge gap in climate policy via NDCs. And I don't know if any of my other colleagues have more to say. Okay, thank you for your question. Are there any other questions? No? Seeing none, we can resume. Thank you for joining us at this session, and please check our work out at ndcequitytracker.org, or if you have any more questions about the Universal NDC Youth Clause, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you and how you can get your governments involved. Thank you for your time.